Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to connect your application to your database for the users table. Beyond that, we're going to configure our authentication settings so users can sign up to your application. And then we're going to configure our user groups so we can begin to develop personalized experiences for each user group. You ready to get started? Let's make it happen. First, let's go to users. And we'll see right here that we have one test user. But if you go back to our database, you'll notice that we actually have a lot of users. And this is because we actually haven't synced our user database to Softr yet. Now, we've synced all of the other records, but syncing our users database is a little bit different. And in order to do that, we have to click on the users area, then we click on the users tab, and then we go with sync with data source. We're going to find the data source that we're looking for here, which is Airtable. And then this specific one is the inventory management Softr demo. And now we need to find the table where the users are stored. In this case, it's the users table. And now we need to map this back to our database. And what mapping means is that we're making sure that the email field that Softr is seeing is the same email field that is in our database. So we're going to map email to email. We're going to map name to name and the avatar field to the avatar field. Once that is set up, we can save and sync, and our users from the database here are going to be pulled into the Softr database here. Now, this configures a real-time sync in a two-way fashion. As you can see here, all the users just came in, and at the moment, none of them have any user groups, even though we do have roles set up for these users. So now let's go and configure those roles. Let's go back to Softr. We'll go to the user group tabs. Within user groups, there are two ways to create a user group. You can create one manually, which is you just selecting a user and putting them in that user group. Quite often, this is not the way that we do it. We prefer to have a condition-based approach. This means it's dynamic. So whenever the user falls within this condition, they will then opt into this group. And then whenever they fall out of it, they will go out of this group. For this example, let's use our warehouse manager. And we're going to say the role for this user is warehouse manager. And so whenever the role in your database is warehouse manager, they're going to belong to the user group warehouse manager within Softr. Now we need to do the same thing for our sales manager. So condition-based sales manager. We're going to go role is sales manager. Very good. One other thing I want to point out while we're here, every Softr app comes with, by default, two user groups, logged in users and non-logged in users. You can use these in a variety of ways. For example, your website page can only be visible to maybe non-logged in users, or your dashboard page can only be visible to logged in users. There's a lot of ways that you can use that, and it's another great thing to have at your disposal there. So we've connected our users to our Softr application. Now those users are being synced in real time. We've also updated our user groups. And now these users, if we go over here and we trigger the sync, those user groups will start to come in. This gives us the ability to go and start making personalized interfaces for each of these users and their respective user groups. Now that we've synced our users and created our user groups, let's move to the Authentication tab. Within this tab, you can configure how users either sign up or log in with your app or not. The answer is up to you, and Softr makes it really easy. For example, right now we are allowing users to log in, but if you don't want that, you can simply disable it. We will keep it as logged in though, because these users need to be able to access their app. For authentication method, there are various ways that users can log in. For example, if I click on this settings icon, right now we're saying that in order to log in, they need email and password. But what if we changed it to only one-time code? So that way they need their email, and then once they enter their email, they will get sent a one-time code to the email. They can click on that link, and then they're authenticated, and then they have access to the application. I personally like this one because everyone forgets their passwords, and with one-time code, it makes it really easy for your users to always be able to access their app as long as they can access their email. So we'll go with that one. And right now, sign up is currently disabled. This could be totally up to you. As an inventory management application, there is a good use case saying, you know what, I don't want anyone else signing up for this. Whenever it comes to actually creating a new user, we want the warehouse managers, the admin, to create that new user and to invite them to the app. That's a perfectly good use case. For our situation, we're going to go with something a little bit different. If we went with open, that means anyone can sign up on the internet. And we don't want to do that because this is an application strictly for our business. So what we're going to do is do domain restricted. That means anyone that has the email domain that contains softr.io can sign up to your application. Everyone else cannot. This limits it to anybody that has access to that domain, meaning your employees only. And this way they can go sign up, they can create their own accounts, and we don't have the admin requiring to do it on their end. Now, a couple small things. If we want to make this more sensitive, we can choose to auto log out users after 7 days of inactivity. We could choose to end their session if they're idle up to 5 minutes, 3 hours, etc. So additional security questions here allow you to really fine tune how you want to auto log out users, just in case you have very sensitive data. And if they leave their account open, you don't want anyone else to access that account. It's up to you. Softr makes it really easy for you to figure that out. So here are the options for authentication. I do want to point out that whenever you configure your authentication, by default, the pages are then configured. So for example, if we disable login, the login page will go away because you don't need it anymore. And if we disable sign up, the sign up page will go away because you don't need it anymore. Otherwise, if you enable it, login is ready for you and it's ready to go. Same thing with sign up. So Softr makes it really easy to just have these pages pre-built for you right out of the box to get you up and running. There's one last step. Let's talk about visibility rules and how you can now implement them using our new user groups. We'll go over to pages and we'll go over to dashboard. And if I go up to the page settings here, I can go to visibility and I can see that anybody can see this dashboard if they're a logged in user, right? That's good. We like that. Now, getting out of there, we can go over here and use an arbitrary example. And we can go to our visibility tab here and say only the users that belong to a warehouse manager can see this block. If they're not a warehouse manager, this block will be invisible to them and none of that data will ever come to the client and it's all safe. Now, when you preview your application, you will be able to view your application in the test environment, meaning only you as the developer or other developers that are on your team can view the application in this preview environment here. And in fact, you can even preview the app as different users and in their different user groups. And now that you see that these have synced correctly, we have Olivia, she's a sales manager, and Ryan is a warehouse manager. So for this example, I'm going to preview as Olivia, who's a sales manager, and she should not see this block. But if I were to preview as a warehouse manager, they will see that block. So that's it for this lesson. We're going to keep going and keep building. So I will see you in the next lesson. Catch you there.